All right, so I have not seen any of this. This is Roadmap Roundup and the monthly report. I've not read any of these yet. They came out last night, and yeah, I just it's kind of my off the computer time. I have to get off the computer every once in a while. So here we go. So we'll start out with Roadmap Roundup, and then we will go into the monthly report. We'll just put both of these in the same clip, right? So 4.2 stuff. I imagine this is going to be all things that we already know. Irradiated Apex Valacar is in adult and juvenile and Copia. Great. New hairstyles. None of them were like super cool or exciting for me personally. Maybe for some of you, that's the hairstyle you have. Therefore, it's going to be the best hairstyle update you've ever had, right? None of those hairstyles are me. One of them is me in about 10 years, but not quite there yet. Radiation is obviously a big deal. That's something from CitizenCon 2023. The more things they check off that list, the better probably. And then ASD stuff, the locations and the sandbox activity, right? The Argo Atlas ICTY. And then here we go. This is the one that I want to take a peek at, right? So new Wicklow ships are available. Correct me if I'm wrong, there's 3 different Wicklow ship missions, right? There's like a small ship, medium ship, and big ship, I think. And then here's what's the problem with that is it becomes kind of like a gambling mechanic. So now they're adding more small, medium, and large ships to 3 plus Polaris. Yeah, let's ignore the Polaris one for now. But now that one might be Polaris or Idris at some point. But yeah, so now you have the Guardian QI or Key or whatever, the Anvil Mark II Super Hornet, the Misk Fortune, the Apoa Nox, the Mirai Pulse, and the RSI Ursa Medevac. I don't want any of those. So now what those are just like duds in the loot table, right? And I just don't want my barters to be a loot box, man. You know, I don't know how other people feel about this, but I am not really excited about that. Like you with 5 executive Sulins. Exactly. Like it's been that mechanic I'm not enjoying, right? That mechanic I'm not enjoying very much. So that card's been committed. So that's happening. The shotgun, I really like the shotgun, but it is stronger. It feels stronger than the R97. The Sterling Exploration Suit is whatever, right? It's just your counter to radiation. Dynamic Rain, everyone's loving that. It's pretty cool. And they say it's a first step towards dynamic weather with Genesis. So that's really neat. Idris P, obviously everyone has seen these things. Wait, Idris P, is this 4.2 still? Is the Idris P not in 4.1.1? That might be and then the MTC is also in 4.1.1. The MX is in 4.1.1. Did I miss a title here? No? Okay. Some of this stuff is 4. Oh, I understand. No, I don't understand. I'm getting that it says released, but they usually separate the things. Like, all right, Dynamic Rain is the last thing for 4.2. Like, for example, look at the top. This is where I got confused, just to be clear. Release View 4.2, they would say Release View 4.1 for the Idris P, Grey Cat MTC, Mirai Guardian, and the TAC and Asgard and stuff. So that's why I was confused about it. They usually make a separation there, and they didn't. All right, let's go to... Oh, my keybind didn't work. I don't know why. Oh, I think I know why. Yeah, it's number 4. There we go. The monthly report. So we'll start with AI content. There's going to be a lot here, I imagine, about the Valacar, right? Comms calls and the news/content is something that they're pointing out. The news/content, I know I'm so negative, but this one was like really a letdown, right? Because we saw Jared like getting performance captured, and then it was static images of his character and just his voice. So I was like, oh damn. I think it's probably because of how bad the characters looked on the comms call thing that they didn't want to do that just yet. So whenever they fix that, I expect to see it in like full PCAP, I guess. And then as they continue to develop the features, larger scale initiatives, combat AI for wild line triggers for combatants. Remember, we used to have wild lines all the time. It sounds like we're going to start getting those again, which is cool. AI features, human combat. AI features ensured human combat is in an optimal state in several key areas. Ammo management and behavior, cover usage, first reactions and perceptions, attack and defend areas, investigations, grenade use tactics, and medical behavior. Medical behavior, we don't see much of. There's been very few moments of seeing them. They, in case you don't know, they actually, like, an NPC can revive you kind of thing, which is crazy. It just doesn't happen that often because servers, I guess. This feels like Squadron 42 work, right? And we might see that, but we won't because of the servers. And then in the pursuit of above, included NPCs looting ammo too close to other hostiles, so they won't do that, I guess. NPC handling light switch disruption. Light switch disruption and first reactions triggered simultaneously. What's a light switch disruption? Again, feels like Squadron 42 conversation and not Star Citizen. So, not sure what that is. Various improvements were made too, including how NPCs select and use cover. That's a CitizenCon 2024 thing, is my understanding. Defend area and combat movement queries also updated. New tech features for wild lines. Okay. Logic was also added for switching the aim target location to the visible element of the body while considering aiming priority. Torso, then head. So no Tarkov, just head, eyes, instantly dead kind of stuff. AI features also finished work to ensure NPCs animated and immediately react to compromised cover, cleaned up the NPC medic flow to make it more robust and improve the visuals, added additional debugging to balance the first reaction times for audio. Okay. Fix was added for place dead bodies to prevent them from causing the AI to react when from a story perspective they already existed in the world. Okay. Finally, for AI features, the team added audio proc clips. All right, so this is just a lot of like dev stuff that we'll see it. I'll believe it when I see it in the game, and there's a lot of things in that section that always are there, but we never really see them because the AI just don't function the way they're written. Game intelligence and development team began work on UI prototype for Mission System V2. Specifically, the outline header design, including the mission object properties design, the outline infrastructure, and the generic outline panel. This also involves creating UI visuals for the outline with all of its components. Okay. That's exciting. I don't know what any of it means, but they're working on the UI for the mission system. And that's good because we could use some help there, I guess. More AI tech. The navigation links. Lots of big words, but nothing that equates to anything for us, I don't think. Make me go back there if there's anything that was really good, but I just briefly skipping through. It's a lot of big words and nothing crazy. Improving collision avoidance during an AI ship fight. Okay. Animation. Facial animation team recorded and processed content for upcoming releases, including Wicklow. So some updates to Wicklow. Okay. That's good. They also continue to provide new voice packs that will populate generic NPCs throughout the verse and began supporting the recently added Newsflash stuff. Cool. Character art, a heavy armor, and gameplay rewards. What are those? What are those? We have those? What are those? I don't know what those are. I've never heard of them. Does anybody know what that is? They also kicked off a light armor. Hopefully the sniper light armor. That would be sick. They have been talking about FPS radar stuff, and I think you have to deliver a sniper / stealthy armor if you're going to also deliver FPS radar, right? So that's my guess on that one. Is the heavy armor, do we think it's the armor from radiation, or do we think it's another one? Maybe it's another one. It would be cool to have the tank one as well. Ship art, here we go. Big stuff here. So we'll start out with Europe. 4 unannounced ships progressed. The first officially entered production, while the second progressed towards the upcoming white box review gate. So these are all kind of a ways away. Third continued down the production pipeline, with the artist currently awaiting feedback on the Lot Zero. Lot Zero is towards the end. The fourth received considerable attention during its white box phase, particularly around the cockpit entry requirements, as it received an entirely new enter and exit animations, something rarely done to this level. That's an alien ship. That sounds like an alien ship to me. Oh, DJ says, yes, counterplay is a requirement for FPS radar scanning going out. Okay, cool. I don't know if I'm right on the armor thing, but they obviously want the counterplay, so I think I made a decent guess there. And hopefully we do get that armor, because that armor is kind of exciting. I would love to see value for light armor. That was a big argument I made about, Montoya's executive armor and how he would never wear it. It's like, you would never wear it anyway because it's shitty armor. Light armor in general is shitty armor, right? So it would be cool to see that change. For already announced ships, the Anvil Paladin progressed. Cool. That is the Asgard, essentially, with a bunch of guns. I think. The Consolidated Outland Pioneer continued its long and extensive white box phase. The sheer scale and complexity of the ship means this is a longer than normal phase. Dude, I hope this thing doesn't come out for 5 years. I don't care. I bought this. This is, the one whaling I will, probably hold on to forever. And I don't think you want this ship to come in game until base building is in and feedback is given and more, work has been done on base building and more feedback was given. Like, you do not want this ship to be designed until the feature is done. And they are designing the ship before the feature is done. And I hate everything about it, because that ship is going to suck in some way, and they're going to build a bigger one and a better one than that at some point, guaranteed. And it's like, damn, I really love that ship and I want to love that ship, but you're going to ruin it. Then, after a short pause to help close out the Invictus ships, work resumed on the Ironclad. Nice. With a focus on blocking out every room with the appropriate Drake kits. All right. I don't know. Do we know what stage the Ironclad is in? Right? Not really sure. With the Guardian MX, the North American teams moved on to closing out an upcoming variant for its impending release, with the ship successfully passing its final review. So we should see that one soon. Another unannounced vehicle passes white box review. And then RSI Apollo Medevac, a lot of people are waiting for this one, passed its gray box reviews, with a focus on ensuring each medbed module tier is distinct without being disruptively different to use. The RSI Perseus continued. That's just making it like, we need to make it very obvious that this is the tier 1 bed, this is the tier 2 bed, this is the tier 3 bed. Cool. Community is always a skip, because it has nothing to do with the game's development. Core gameplay is obviously not. Core gameplay are currently working through a long list of weapon improvements to further modernize the FPS experience for both Squadron 42 and Star Citizen, including tweaking how disruptive weapon raising is to the flow of combat. I assume weapon raising means like when you walk, when we get too close to each other, the weapons go up, that kind of thing, instead of, pushing it into their chest or their head or whatever. Maybe that's what it is. But being in cover. That could be a problem there too. Engineering and design collaborated to iterate on these improvements and provide more polished combat gameplay. Work on hacking continued. Anyone surprised by that? That one's kind of a surprising one for me, which involved highlighting suggested abilities for certain gameplay situations. I wonder if they're going to do hacking like Eve, but like fancy Eve. Hacking in Eve is kind of fun. I like it. So I wonder if they're going to do something similar to that, but more modern, right? Like, I know, dude, I feel like everybody wants it to be a situation where you have to, like Relic and data sites in Eve. I really hope, I really think a lot of people would agree with me on this one, that, if somebody steals your ship or gets in your ship, they kind of have to hack their way through it, not just shoot the door open and go in kind of thing. A little skill check involved there would be pretty cool. Abilities are also now disabled when they're not applicable to in a specific situation to better explain hacking gameplay. I feel like we would have to see it to understand that a little bit. Or if it's like the abilities that you have in Eve, in certain situations during the hack, maybe you can't use those. The hacking terminal now also supports color-coded terminal output for better clarity. Okay. Team also wrapped up work on the Atlas ICTY and the Geo ICTY. Both support weapons instead of their utility attachments. Additional bug fixes and polish are underway, but the team is excited to further expand the Atlas platform, provide players more options on the battlefield. Okay. I mean, I don't know where they go. Oh, I guess they'll go missiles next because they're mentioning battlefield. What do you think the next step is for the Atlas, guys? It seems pretty obvious it's going to be missiles. Like shoulder-mounted missiles, probably next. I was hoping it would be salvage, but I think it's going to be shoulder-mounted missiles. Or EVA. I would love EVA. Railgun. Railgun's a good choice as well. Gatling could be. I mean, I feel like with the ICTY, you should be able to swap out weapon types. But yeah, Railgun would be cool. For engineering, the team reviewed feedback and outstanding work before dividing the feature into smaller milestones. The first milestone primarily covers core gameplay mechanics such as the engineering screen and its ability to manipulate power distribution and item states. A recent internal review provided feedback and polish that will be addressed before the feature reaches players. So they do play the game of turn? I'm just kidding, but I would love to see them do more of it. I feel like they don't do enough given the state that the game comes to with us. Or at least they don't listen to their internal feedback enough. The diagnostic screen also received a new functionality and utility. As part of the ongoing quality of life initiative, core gameplay are working on improvements to the harvestable and loot systems. All right, this is to address various performance issues and, more importantly, give designers more control over how harvestables and loot are spawned. That's an exciting one for me. There is no detail there whatsoever, but any change to what we have now would be a healthy change. Because right now, we complained about the Wicklow loot crate system. Essentially, every single time you scan something to try and, mine or salvage, it's a loot crate, right? And it's not a fun experience. So if there's more like understandable and like what would the word be, like clear and just like, hey, I know these things spawn here kind of situations, it would be, I think, just a way more fun game. I mean, dude, I would love to just be, transparent, I guess. Patterns, I think we're all on the same page there. Even something as simple as, like, I click on the various asteroid fields that we have in the map on the Moby-Glass, and it tells me like what is there in abundance, right? This has an abundance of gold. This has abundance of titanium. Like, okay, right? That would be great. So if something is in demand, then people go to those spots. They're easy to find, and they're also easy to find to pirate them. Now we have a game. No Man's Sky does that. So does every game, man. A lot of games do that. Eve does it, and so does Starfield, right? Okay, for Alpha 4.1.1, devs enable the ability for players to quantum travel to their own vehicles. Yes, I heard it's broken in 4.2, though. I have to try it. Item recovery is currently progressing with tasks for Tier 1. I think everybody wants them to skip tier 1, to be honest, but they know something internally probably where they feel they have to do it that way first. And let's be honest, the more opportunities for us to show them that this may not be the best choice, the better. So I hope they do tier 0.25, 0.5, 0.75, tier 0.1, 0.1, 0.25, and then we get to something that actually works, right? As part of Space Combat focused content for Alpha 101, design tweaking, tuning recoil for vehicle weapons. Recoil, again, is the visual thing, not the actual recoil on the gun, I don't think. As an additional stepping stone towards the new vehicle radar and scanning system, changes were made to the information available to players before a ship is scanned. This is all in 1.1, right? With some fixes in .2. The team are currently reviewing the feedback that came from this change and are looking to implement improvements. Okay. And they have already. I think this was probably written before then. Quantum interdiction is also being reworked to be more compatible with server Whoa! They care about piracy. Leveraging tech developed for Alpha 4.1 to communicate across different volumes on different servers. This rework is primarily about reliability and not the mechanic itself. Okay, there is a lot to unpack there in that little thing. First off, caring about the Mantis and having that actually exist is like, okay, cool, thank you. But this rework is primarily about reliability, not the mechanic itself. I'm probably reading too much into it, is them telling pirates that, like, no, we're not going to change anything on the way the Mantis mechanic works, or we are changing the way the Mantis mechanic works, but this isn't that. So, I don't know. We recognize there's an imbalance between lawful and unlawful gameplay and want to ensure players on both ends have the tools needed to contend with each other. Love that. Will they succeed? It's Star Citizen, so probably not. Somehow this will get us going to the pledge store. That, like, somehow there will be something on. There will be a flight blade. There will be a flight blade. Like, I got a bad feeling. Literally says not changing the mechanic. Mike, maybe they're changing the mechanic. Yet, I mean that this work is not about changing the mechanic. What I mean by that is there still might be a rework for the mechanic itself, because I believe, and I'm hoping and praying that there is a rework for the mechanic itself. I don't think the mechanic itself makes any sense, right? You literally need to know advanced trigonometry to be able to use the Mantis in the game, and that's why it needs to have a rework. So I'm just saying, like, they're kind of communicating that rework is not happening, but we really want them to communicate that there will be one, right? And I've never seen them communicate it, but maybe some of you guys have, and I just missed it, right? So that's kind of what I'm on about with that, is the mechanic has to change because it's so broken and silly. Control surfaces reached a major milestone, with most of the atmospheric flight model behaviors now in first pass implementation. As part of this, ships will now more accurately reflect the expected flight behavior based on lift, drag, angle of attack, and other factors. Bro, I'm never going to be able to fly in this game, am I? I can't fly now. I can't fly now. Oh, no. It's going to be bad. For me, I'm in trouble. I'm going to be solely in cargo haulers from this point forward. Thrusters currently activate smoothly to compensate for different atmospheric densities, while hovering feels more natural. Okay. Core gameplay teams fixed numerous issues related to cargo crates. Yeah, we knew about that, where like they were out of line and things like that. With the ability to stream multiple vehicles from the hangar as well. Players, this is not really like... This is not a thing. You do not retrieve multiple vehicles from a hangar, because it kind of implies that you retrieve them at the same time. You don't. This is a Band-Aid. This is not a fix, right? This is another Band-Aid, and I'm tired of Band-Aids. I'm not going to lie. Players now also receive a warning when their ship accumulates distortion damage. Yep, I've seen that. For upcoming gameplay, medical beds now heal radiation damage. A pass was also done to ensure players receive proper visual feedback on radiation in the environment. Okay. Transit rework, internally referred as the transport system, continued towards the first playable version for internal validation. The team moved the transport from push systems to serialized variables on the transport manager for improved reliability. To validate the new system, the DJ's team worked on this. To validate the new system, design trialed the transport system in the new Babbage Habs. They are currently addressing feedback and issues resulting from the test. Okay. Sounds like just still trying to improve reliability there for the Apex Valacar. Supported the character and AI teams. For example, irradiated Valakar's projectiles now spawn hazard volumes that damage the player over time. I got hit with one of those. Woo! It hurt. The Apex creature also spawns a molehill wherever it exits or enters the ground. Does that molehill stay? I don't think so, right? FPS radar and scanning also progressed. There they go. So, there's the mention. The devs can now specify if contacts should remain visible for extended periods after they've been first scanned, which is useful to the designers in curated situations. Like, yeah, I scan. There is a mission item over there. Like, you have to pay attention over there, idiot. Look over here. Additionally, they can now reduce the signature of a contact if it's considered dead. Okay. For example, dead NPCs are no longer detectable from the same distances as living ones. But it sounds like they're still detectable because you might want to know where they are. Maybe something is on them that you might need, right? Something like that. Okay, cool. As part of the upcoming patch release, a lot of feedback was received around the reliability and quality of the new comms notifications, specifically the quality we made fun of because it was just funny. As a result, the team is working through various improvements to ensure mission givers appear at their best and don't awkwardly look at players. Finally, for core gameplay, the team are currently supporting an upcoming global event, including new ways to track and display player progress. Okay. Lighting. Obviously, the game is doing cool stuff. Locations. The ASD locations, I would imagine. Let's double check. Yeah, that's an ASD location. On Pyro 4, right? Yeah. Narrative. Brought with a flurry of activity for the narrative team. Simultaneously, members finalized new content. Beyond that, dozens of new mission contracts were created for upcoming gameplay to not only provide players with critical information, but a sense of character as well. The writers also worked on scripts for new mission providers who will be making an appearance later this year. Because of the time involved with writing, recording, and processing performances, there is an interesting balance of locking down a script while allowing for the design team to continue refining the gameplay as they continue development. This often means that we record alternate lines that would be useful in case the scope or design of a new mission needs to be adjusted closer to release. Is that a waste of time and money? Like, in a PTU, would you care? See, here's the thing that I don't know because not a game dev. Would you care? Let's use the current missions that they first did this with. No. Hear me out, Valeda. Is this the ghillie missions? Okay. So you do the ghillie missions in the PTU. If we had, a screen pop up, it would make the sound, and there would just be like, insert voice line here, right? Or something like that. And they're getting feedback on the mission and getting it where they want it to be. And then once the mission is actually in the way they want it, then you record the voice lines and just put them in. But I think for the ghillie thing, it was like the first time that they were getting it in properly again since they used to have them. So I don't know. I don't really care on this. I'm just kind of curious. It's one of those like, hey, I'm not a game dev. What do you guys think? Does that make any sense or no? Finally, the team solidified the story plans for next year already, taking the initial high-level outline and pulling more details to help other teams continue with their planning. Less of what they're doing next year, please. More fucking feature work. Anybody? Hopefully. Fingers crossed. Online tech. This is a big one. Network team continued to work on dynamic server meshing, separating the DGS assignment from the territory manager. Objective is to base territory runtime on redistribution of several factors, including entity, blah, 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 blah. Subsequent work will remove territories. None of that stuff makes any sense to me. They're working on dynamic server meshing. Cool. Live tools teams work on improving moderation tools to provide a better user experience for everyone. You guys should be really happy about that. We have no moderation tools in the game currently, so that is something I'd really like to see, because there's some nasty things said in the in-game chats, and the only way to report them is to screenshot it and send in a ticket, right? So, yeah. They also improved the solution that allows publishing team to schedule in-game messages and continue to add smaller improvements to various tools across development. New infrastructure was deployed to better handle game crashes. Okay. Online service continue to work on item imprint system, including the design aspects, and progressed with diffusion removal to lay the groundwork for the social refactor. My guess is item imprints are putting your org logo on an item based on the fact that it's part of the social refactor. That's my only thing that I can put together with imprint and social refactor. So that's my guess there, but I'm not sure. Online services also continue to help fix various issues that were discovered by players alongside minor improvement to the mission system tools. All right, UI. There's actually a big thing to UI here. How much is on the Mirai MX, which was a really good job, but also like not what anybody needed. There's so many bigger puzzles that need to be resolved with UI. In May, the team completed UI for an upcoming event, creating various screens to support the narrative and gameplay. Like the star map, the inventory, like we're doing narrative UI. Oh my God. Like this, are you ready? You ready? That is the conversation about the whale. Like that is the frustrations with the whale stuff. It's not about whales. It's about the like just constantly making choices for events that sell spaceships. I don't care how you spend your money. I care how CIG has been spending it. UI is the single biggest blocker. Like that like like it is the single most painful friction that we have in the game. The inventory UI is horrendous. The star map still is shit and still has not delivered on 2023 features. And we're making UI for an upcoming event. Am I not supposed to be annoyed here? Like, come the fuck on, man. Fuck me. The new UI was for the Mirai UI was finished. Great job. Cool. Let's skip all of that because we could just see it here and it's fantastic. It used to be up here. Now it's down there. Great. We love that. It's also very RSI, and I love the RSI layouts, right? Elsewhere, performance improvements continued with the team investigating spreading UI processing across multiple cores. Visual prototypes were also worked for some interesting, but currently confidential 3D interactive UIs to replace one of the older systems in the game. Okay. I hope it works. Don't get excited by 3D interactive when your 2D interactive is already dog shit. I'm very nervous about that because your 2D interactive is shit and now they want to make it 3D interactive. But it's 3D, right? Yeah, really exciting, but it's 3D. All right, and that's the end of it. Not even a VFX section. There usually is. This one's frustrating. This one's frustrating for me. Man, UI is such a fucking pain point, and they're doing 3D interactive UIs and not simplifying it and making it just work. Oof. Highlights are the UI for the wrong reasons. Some narrative stuff is probably a pretty big highlight. Some mission UI things, remember? So that's, hey, over there they're working on mission UI stuff, so not too bad. Hopefully transit continues to get even more reliable. FPS radar, lots of stuff related to that, it sounds like. Whether we like that idea of a concept or not, I think a lot of people are really nervous about it. Item recovery going to tier 1 has to be a highlight for many people here. We don't think tier 1 is going to be a fantastic idea. I think a lot of people wanted to skip from 0 to 2, was a lot of the feedback I heard. But yeah, more steps, the better. No more 500 hauling contracts. Yeah, hopefully that's a really good point about the UI thing. Engineering stuff. And hopefully we see that soon. Ironclad for me is always going to be a highlight. I love my cargo haulers. And yeah, outside of that, yeah, more Wicklow stuff as well. So cool. Those were the roadmap roundup in the monthly report. As always, let me know what you guys think about anything there. And I'm most nervous about we're planning the story for next year. I don't know if I could do another year like this. Like I almost would, like, I think they're liking the fact that they put a patch out every month. I don't know if the devs can do another year like this. I feel like they're nonstop. If I'm feeling nonstop covering the game, how are the people feeling making it? So yeah, that's going to be a lot. DJ is posting a very tired emote. So yeah, I can imagine it's pretty tough. So hopefully it's not like that as much next year, and we'll have to see. So yeah.